Welcome aboard, Skylark Outdoors here, and today we're reviewing the Caymus 281HB, which we've got right here, and the HB stands for Hybrid Boat. So this is designed to be an offshore center console and bay boat mix, trying to combine the best features of both of those types of boats, so you can use it offshore or in the bay. So we're going to go through, give you a tour of the Caymus 281HB, and then I'm going to go through some of the specifications and neat features of the Caymus boat. So what I like about this is at 28 feet, it's actually 27 and 11 feet. This is a very wide and stable boat, but also has a fairly high horsepower rating, 600 horsepower max rating. You can see there are rod holders all over this. You've got a very sturdy T-top above the console, and then you've got a layout that is designed for both offshore fishing as well as bay fishing. You'd see in the bow there, you had plenty of space to stand on the deck. In the rear here, you've got platforms that you can stand on, and then you can see right there, there's actually a seat that will fold up, so you've got more seating when you want it, or you've got a nice work and stand and cast platform in the rear there. And like I said, there's rod holders all over this. There's rod holders on the side of the consoles, there's rod holders in the gunnels, there's rod holders up top, and then we've got a little head compartment here. You can have a head in here. And you've got all your controls, switches, circuit breakers, battery disconnects. So pretty tight quarters, but at least you've got a place for a head if you want to have that. And you can see just how sturdy this center console mount is right there. You've got a little table that you can put there, and or potentially even a seat if you wanted some customization. But here, this is where you get those bay boat features of this thing. A big platform up here for sight fishing, casting, tarpon, whatever you want to do. You can stand on that. And then even the seating up here in the front, you would have cushions there, but they don't have the cushions on this right now. So you've got even more kind of like a stepped platform to work on, stand on, do whatever you need. And then you've got that seat right in front of the console on this boat. More rod holders here on the starboard side next to the console, and then you've got rod holders up above on this too, on top of this hard top, which very sturdy looking hard top. I love that they've got some lights on there, so deck lights down, you've got your speakers, you've got forward looking lights, so that if you are out at night on this, you're going to be able to see what you want to do. And this is designed around the fisherman. I would probably not recommend this unless you want to fish, because it is designed for fishing and all the accoutrements are designed for that. This is a very, let's say, simple boat, but designed with the fisherman in mind and the features that you would want if you are a fisherman. Some really nice big displays here, so you can have your depth finder, fish finder, GPS, all that. Simple controls. You've got your dual throttle controls there. Then you've got your Mercury engine maintenance modules there, so you can check and see what's going on. You've got your radio there as well, VHF, and a couple of cup holders. So let's go through some of the specifications on this and what makes it a hybrid boat. You can obviously see the layout. You've got the standing area to be able to sight cast, stand in the front. Also, I would assume most people who are going to use this for fishing in a bay, they're probably going to be running. There's all the cushions that you can see would go on the seats. It's nice that they have that big storage compartment there, so that if you are fishing, you're not going to get all your upholstery all fished up. But what makes this the hybrid boat is that you have the features of a boat that is capable offshore and has a fairly high top speed and good fuel efficiency to get where you want to go, as well as it has a very high fuel capacity. So it's 27 feet 11 inches long. You've got a 9'4" beam, so it's a little bit beamier than a typical boat this size. And then you've got your 600 horsepower rating on this boat. You've got a 200-gallon capacity on this, so that is a pretty high fuel capacity for this size boat, and that puts it in that offshore capacity where you're going to be able to get where you want to go on this particular boat, because you've got the fuel as well as a fairly light boat, so you're going to have a fair amount of range. The live wells, you've got 35-gallon live wells. You've got 16 gallons of fresh water if you want to have that on there for washdown and or a head. You've got 26 inches of freeboard. So even though it looks like this has low gunnels, you actually have a fair amount of freeboard for this boat. And that, once again, puts it in this hybrid boat category. More than you'd expect of a typical bay boat, but less than you would expect of an offshore center console. And then you've got 26 inches of draft with the engines up. So nice shallow drafting boat to get you in the back bays and wherever you want to be able to go. But where this shines is that on this bay boat, depending on what you've got it outfitted at, you can go almost 70 miles an hour. So this thing flies with twin engines. That is pretty insane for this size of a boat, and that's because it's got a really nice shaped hull and then a 4,300 pound dry weight. So this thing's going to be able to tow behind pretty much any standard 150, 1500 truck. You could probably even tow it behind some of the mid-sized trucks as well, depending on if you get an aluminum trailer or how much your trailer weighs. But easy, lightweight boat to tow for the size. And that 70 mile an hour top speed, while it may not ride like a heavier center console, what you're getting there is that if you are having a bad weather day or you see weather coming in, you can get yourself out of weather quick. So I think that's where this becomes more of an offshore boat, is that, you know, you see something coming in, the waves are rolling in, you see a storm, throttle this thing up and get out of wherever you're at, and you're going to be able to get home quick compared to something that has a lower cruise speed. So then in terms of this particular boat with 200 gallons, you're going to be able to go pretty far. The fuel consumption, well, I wasn't able to get specific numbers on that. I'm guessing you're probably right around 2 to 2.5 miles per gallon. So that means that you're probably 400 miles of range on the low end, and on the higher end, depending on what you're cruising with, how many people you got on it, maybe you're at 500 miles of range with this. And the cruise speed at this is 44 miles per hour, which is still pretty good. And depending where you're going, it means you're probably going to get home pretty darn quick in this particular boat. Now, one thing to note, it does have an 18.5 degree dead rise, so this is a lower dead rise than you would find on a typical center console. And it's 4,300 pound dry weight, so you are probably going to bounce around on this thing a little bit when you're out there in the chop. However, you know, you got to pick and choose your days, and depending on where you're at and certain locations, you may have better conditions than others for a boat like this, where you can take it offshore on more days than not. But certainly an amazing bay boat, or getting around the intercoastal wherever you want to go pretty quick. And I think with that wider beam, 9'4" beam, it will take up a little bit of the chop. And then what they have is this hybrid stepped V ventilated hull. And so that is designed to basically be a better running hull with a ventilated tunnel system. That should absorb some of the chop and kind of like relieves the cohesion of the water on the boat, so you get a better planing ride. They have a limited lifetime hull warranty on these, 100% composite construction, tri-core composite transom, and hand-laid fiberglass hull. Zero flex, fully formed, finished trigger grid system with integrated chase tubes, so this thing is really structurally rigid. And then you've got a fuel tank that's 52 aluminum, so you've got an aluminum fuel tank in this. But overall, if you were going to have a bay boat, but you don't need a super shallow bay boat, I like the versatility of this, and I like the speed on this thing. This thing would rip. I mean, you're going to be on this thing, and people are going to have center consoles outfitted to the max with 4 or 5 400, 500 horsepower engines. And if you're at 70 miles an hour, you're going to be ripping by them in most cases, just because of the size of this thing. The power to weight ratio is pretty insane. And this one is with the max power with the 600 horsepower engines on there. So pretty cool boat. Sure, you can rig it up with power poles in the rear probably, and then I would assume if you're fishing with it, you're going to have some kind of a trolling motor on this as well. So pretty cool boat, has some versatility. I would not be taking this out on offshore days and super challenging conditions. But on those good days, I think you could have a pretty good time on this. And maybe I would say the mix of offshore to bayshore for a boat like this would be 30% offshore days, 70% inshore days with the hybrid capabilities. And that 16-inch draft is pretty, you can get into some pretty skinny water. So like a Keys boat, this would be probably a pretty nice boat to have down in the Keys. You could get into skinny water, but you could get offshore when you need to, get to the Gulf Stream, get around all the islands probably pretty good, and you could get there pretty fast and get both on the east side and the west side of these, or Florida intercoastal waterway areas. I think you'd have a lot of fun in a boat like this. In the Great Lakes here, you really could consider it. What I see with this boat, which would be interesting if you were going for the Great Lakes area with something like this, or even other inland lakes, is that you could almost make this a more stable bass boat platform. You've got the casting area up front. In terms of draft, you've got a pretty shallow draft on this thing. A little bit more than a lot of the bass boats that you see. However, you're going to be able to get into skinny water. But where it would be advantageous is on some of the bigger lakes like Lake Michigan, to be able to get out to some of those islands, like let's say the island chains off of Traverse City, some of the islands in Wisconsin, and then get to places like Beaver Island. There's an island chain archipelago there. You could definitely get to those, and they've got great bass fishing in the spring months that is really pretty much untouched, just because it's a little bit difficult to get out there with a bass boat in the challenging conditions of Lake Michigan. You're 20 miles offshore. And you've got a low population on the island. So this would be perfect for that, to get to some of those harder to reach bass locations that are definitely underfished. Elation Islands, I could see that being a place that you would use something like this. And then Lake Superior, same thing as well. And then Lake Erie, a lot of shallow spots in Lake Erie. And Lake Erie is notoriously choppy, so you got to pick and choose your days. With a bass boat, with this, you definitely would be able to probably eat up the chop most days and get where you wanted to go. So I see this as a versatile boat, for a lot of different things. It is a true hybrid, and depending on your location, this might be the right boat for what you want to do. Some inshore fishing, some offshore fishing. Maybe you want to go to those more challenging places to go bass fishing. On a smaller inland lake, you're probably not going to get all the benefits out of this. However, on a larger Great Lakes style lake, or if you're on some of the Pacific Northwest coast area, I could see this being a boat that would really excel in some of those conditions, as well as Florida Keys, Florida Intercoastal, and all the way up the East Coast, where you've got bayous and shallow water and skinny water for bay fishing. So hope you enjoyed this review of the Caymus 281 hybrid boat. Please give us that thumbs up, subscribe, and click any links below if you want to support us. We always appreciate your support, and that's how we can keep making videos for you and take you on the tours of these boats. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.